Hi, welcome to the channel, welcome back if you've been here before. In today's pick a card reading, we're going to be uncovering some important messages from your future self. So in this session, we'll get insight into the guidance and wisdom your future self wants to share with you right now. You might be curious about the outcome of a specific situation, or you could be seeking more general advice. So either way, this reading can provide some valuable clarity. As usual, we have our 3 piles of cards laid out, each with its own unique energy and message. So group number 1, we have the 2 of Pentacles. Group number 2, we have the 10 of Swords. And group number 3, we have the 3 of Swords. Take a moment to connect with your intuition and choose the pile that resonates with you most. Trust that the cards you pick hold the answers you seek, and you'll find the link to your reading in the description box below. Wishing you love and light on your journey as always. Hey group number 1, and welcome to your reading. Messages from your future selves, and let's start off with the first card that you were initially drawn to, which is the 2 of Pentacles, and this is in the placement of what you currently need to be spending more time on. And the 2 of Pentacles speaks about staying grounded and centered within the chaos. So we can see in this card we've got 2 dolphins that always remind me of like the word a tailspin, that they're chasing each other's tails. And you could already be in this kind of energy where you feel like you're juggling a lot, or you could be moving into that in the near future with this current cycle that you're in. It feels busy, it can feel chaotic, the waters can feel choppy, so ups and downs, and that there's just a lot going on. So this could be externally, literally in the material world, that you've got a lot to do. Or it could be emotionally, that it's sort of like this, I'm getting an image of like an internal washing machine happening. So take what resonates, or it could obviously be both of those things, that through this busyness that there's this emotional washing machine going on inside. And what your future self is reminding you of, and bring the message through, that during this time, really focus on staying centered and grounded. So whatever you need to do, whatever your process is, if that's through meditation, through whatever your self-care routine looks like, carving some time out, some downtime, if that's going to the gym, or spending time with loved ones who are outside of this situation, that keep you grounded and keep you centered. So whatever that might be, I feel like that's the message coming through, to stay tethered and stay centered. We see this golden sun being the center, and staying grounded and keep connected to yourself, and kind of why you're doing this and who you really are throughout this process. Now the second card, we have the 5 of Cups, and this is in the placement of what you need to spend less time on. And this card is all about, this talks about some kind of loss that's happened, so a disappointment, some emotional heartache that I feel like has already occurred, and that you've been through this. Someone or something, I feel like, has let you down. We see 3 cups that have been tipped over and broken, but there are 2 cups that are remaining. So with the 5 of Cups always comes the message, not all is lost. So you might be very much in the feelings, the disappointment and the sadness and the loss. And with it being in the placement of this is what you need to spend less time on, and with this card's message, it's like, don't get emotionally stuck on that wheel. Again, that emotional washing machine, sort of ruminating. This card always like brings this message to me about ruminating on a painful experience and really dwelling on that, and how really that gives it more power by giving it more energy, and this can be really detrimental for us. It's almost like an emotional form of self-harm, I always see. And even though it can be really difficult and challenging to focus, it's like switching up to focus on what it still remains, what positive things that you still have to go on, and kind of steps that you can take forward, pulling yourself out of that emotional hole and not keep falling back in. And ultimately, obviously there's always a time and place to grieve, but losses, etc., disappointments, but it can become, if we get stuck there, it can become an emotional drain. We see this moth here, which is also reminds me of the butterfly metamorphosis, transformation, with it being a sort of more moth energy sometimes, because that's kind of nighttime, more sort of deeper, darker feelings in a way, somehow connected, because you're coming out of a dark place. And there's an opportunity for transformation within this painful situation still. So yeah, just to clarify the message, I feel like it's about not getting stuck somewhere and ruminating, going over and over again, sort of emotionally torturing yourself by going over and over again what's happened and things that maybe you wish had gone differently. The third card that we have, so we have the Nine of Wands. And this is in the placement, so what you need to remember. And this card is, particularly in this deck, is all about boundaries. So we see like this spiky porcupine here, and it's lined up its spikes here to defend itself. And in a way, maybe it's okay to be a bit defensive and a bit prickly like the porcupine at this moment. And because what you're doing is, there seems a need to defend yourself, and the importance really of setting boundaries. It's also about not taking on too much for yourself. So you might have a tendency, this might be your nature, to this could be for some of you, just to have trouble saying no. And agree, just do everything yourself. So this could be emotionally as well, if this is like a relationship reading for some of you maybe. It's about looking after yourself, resetting boundaries about what your needs are and what you want. But this can apply to any situation. So if it's a career, if it's about a project that you're invested in, and it's about not just agreeing for you to say yes, I'll take on all the heavy lifting. It's about being realistic and what's sustainable for you, and again going back to that, what your needs are. And so yeah, I feel like the message is very clear. Don't forget what your needs are. If this is going to work out and if this is going to be sustainable, you need to get realistic about what you can do and where you need help, and what's okay for your boundaries and what's not okay, and to set that very clearly. So this feels very important to remember who you are, remember your needs, and communicate this and set those boundaries in place. Whatever that looks like to you. But like again, if you're wanting this to work out and be successful, I feel like that's, we've all kind of can have a tendency in some ways to let our boundaries be crossed sometimes. So get real about that, and the sooner that's communicated and put in place, the better. In the fourth card, so we have the Major Arcana, the Moon, and this is in the placement of what you need to let go of. The Moon can talk about insecurities, the unseen, and I feel like this can be about, it can be very literal in the sense about needing to let go of insecurities, fears, worries that nag at us and wear us down, and what we can do. That's like almost a continuous process for us to be working on. But it's also about, the Moon card always says to me, it's about letting go of needing to know everything in a way. Our insecurities can drive us to fret over needing to know the outcome, needing to know all the details, and it can really be a waste of energy. And it's better often to lean more into a trusting your intuition, trusting yourself ultimately, that if you get a feeling that something is off, then you'll react to that and you'll respond to that. So listen to your intuition rather than having to work really hard to try and get the full picture all the time. Some things, you know, with the moon, it's about, about hidden things, and really some things might always remain hidden to us. We don't always know what other people are truly thinking and feeling. We can only empathise and tune into our intuition. So I think it's about going on your intuition more, and letting go of that need to kind of know everything and have the full picture, because that might never happen. And it's more about leaning into, let's say, your intuition, trusting that voice inside yourself, and kind of going on that more. And letting go of some insecurities as well. If your insecurities is getting the better of you in this situation, a lot of self-doubt maybe, to try and work on letting that go. The next position, so we have the 7 of Wands, and this is what you need to focus on. Again, this is very similar in some ways to the 9 of Wands in that it's about boundaries. It's about really digging your heels into standing your ground. So there does appear to be, there is this energy of, in this situation that you're in, group number 1, of where someone's trying to push up against your boundaries really. This situation or this person is challenging you in some way, which doesn't mean that this situation is all bad, but it just means that you need to be really strong about certain things and about your boundaries. If this 5 of Cups is about someone crossing boundaries, that's caused you to feel let down and disappointed. And then this could be about a kind of a reset really, and about if you're re-entering a relationship, or if a job, for example, a situation there, something's happened there and your boundaries are being crossed, and it feels like that you are very much still in this and want to stay and want to work this out, whatever the situation is, which is fine. And this is the way forward, this is the way to do it. Maybe you're already aware that boundaries is where it's at, about what needs to be put in place, and this is about standing your ground, just being absolutely clear about, you know, this is what I need and this is what's hurt me, this is a deal breaker for me. Or if it was a professional scenario, you know, maybe it's just about, you know, when you clock off, being unavailable, like that's, you know, carving some time out for yourself. So not even if people are reaching out to you, just saying, you know, I finished at this time, I'll be available, and reaching back out from then, and sticking to that rule, sticking to that, what you've set in place. So again, like I say, whatever your situation is, but leaning into that more, because I feel like this person or this situation, unless you do this, they will continue, they need to get the message, and it will need to be repeated. No, like I really mean what I'm saying. This is, and they will push against that, but the only way that they'll get the message that you really mean what you say, and the only way I feel like that this is going to be sustainable for you, in order for you not to kind of have to walk away from the situation, is by putting these boundaries in place, sticking to your guns, digging your heels in really, really strong here. The next card that we have, so that's the Knight of Swords, and this is the lesson that you will learn from all of this. And the Knight of Swords, this is about, to me, this speaks about clarity. It speaks about knowledge, and I feel like you will get a better perspective of where they're coming from. You'll get the fuller picture, even like maybe you won't have it straight away, but I feel like more information will come through to you that you didn't know, and this will kind of make things make sense more. And the Knight of Swords is also about, with it being the lesson that you need to learn, it's about communicating clearly. So saying some hard truths sometimes as well, even being a bit brutal at times, but not being so fearful or worried about what people might think or what you might lose, because this is in order for us to, be successful in what we want and need. It is about really being truthful and honest to an extent of what our boundaries are, what we need, and kind of pretending otherwise in order to appease other people or persons. It's just not sustainable, really, because we will just become unhappy and ground down, and then ultimately need to just leave the situation, where this gives you a chance to be able to, if you want to stay where you are, make a success of this, by communicating clearly. It's just that bravery, really, of being able to be honest and to be able to at times maybe be, like what comes to mind, no is a full sentence. You don't really need to explain why you feel this way. It's just that this is your boundary, this is what you need, and no is a complete sentence. It brings that kind of energy with this Knight of Swords, and that's the lesson that I feel that you'll learn, because I feel like you'll experience some kind of freedom and liberation of, in this situation, being able to cross that barrier of communication, and it'll become easier. Every time that you do it, say no, or say this is what I need, this is my boundary, it will become easier and easier. And it'll just give you so much more freedom. And like I say, there's also an element of, I think it'll be quite revealing when you set these boundaries and communicate clearly your needs, your truth. I feel like in turn you'll get a clearer picture, clarity, and a better idea of what's going on the other side of this with this other person or people, and this will kind of give you a more fuller, complete picture, which I feel like you are looking for as well. Next card we have the Seven of Pentacles, and this is your potential and what's kind of to be gained from doing all this, other than, say, the lesson that we just spoke of. But the Seven of Pentacles is about being able to really look at what you've achieved. I feel like we see all these spider webs here in Pentacles, so it's about growth and it's about expansion. And it's about giving yourself options, choices, but it's that traditionally it's about, when you can look at the Seven of Pentacles, it's almost like looking back at all your hard work and what you've achieved, and then deciding as well from that point what worked, what didn't. So it's very, again, more information, more feedback, that it's like you'll be able to step back and see that you've actually worked your way into a good position. So with that being, what's to be gained from that is that you are giving yourself options. I feel like you are banking experience. It could be for some of you as well that you're literally banking financial success, which in turn is giving you options. So if it's a career situation, it could be that you are working into putting yourself into a better position through this situation and the lessons that you're learning. But I feel like ultimately that you are going to end up through working through this, you are going to end up in a better position, and with knowledge that you can take with you really for the rest of your life about, right, I can see that didn't work so well, so I'm not going to do that. I can discount that. That worked really well, so I'm going to keep moving forward with that. And that could be in a relationship, that you can say, right, it kind of doing that, it didn't do me any favors. I can see, but for when I made that move and kind of had that conversation, that brought me, that did well, that kind of got me where I wanted to be and enabled me to move forward into where I wanted to be more. So I feel like it's all about putting yourself in a better position, like I say, giving yourself options, giving yourself choices, and gaining experience and gaining information. This is your future self, so it's almost where you'll be on the other side after doing all that. And the Seven of Swords is, we see this really charismatic panther who, I feel like it's like the knowledge that you will have gained, really. It's like crossing this barrier of, it's something that you'll really be able to carry with you forward. And this card is about feeling more independent. It's about trusting ourselves, and ultimately it comes down to trusting ourselves rather than others and not giving away that power. Not as well, the Seven of Swords traditionally can be about sneaking under the radar and trying to get away, being avoidant, really, trying to get away with things. So this could be you, that may be something that you've done in the past, or it could be other people who have kind of just hoped that things will work out rather than having that difficult conversation. Or for you, maybe rather than setting these boundaries, it's just hoping that someone would treat you the way that you want to be treated, instead of and trying, really avoiding actually having to verbalize that and ask for it and put those boundaries in place. But we learn, I feel like through this process, that you will learn how to do that, really, and the benefit of doing that as well, and that you'll be stronger, you'll feel much more empowered. Also, I feel like you'll be calling people out more on not letting them get away with it. You won't be prepared to let them kind of sneak around, in the sense of being avoidant of, like, if it's you're doing all the emotional labour, or even in a practical way, if you're doing too much of the labour, you will learn to call people. This new version of you on the other side of this is someone who would kind of quite comfortably call someone out on doing that, because you now see the value in that and understand that the more you do it, the easier it gets. So with answering the question, your future self looks much more empowered and is a lot more fearless, I would say, and a lot less avoidant, so which is amazing. And then the final message, we have this beautiful, the Ace of Pentacles. And we see this owl here with the expansion, the growth, and it's like from getting to this place of this Seven of Swords, that this is just, it almost just feels like this is the first barrier that you've the first checkpoint even that you've met with this, and that the potential of how far that you could actually take this with this self-empowerment and kind of speaking clearly, communicating, being strong, powerful, clear boundaries, that it becomes limitless in a way, like the potential of this, of how, because it's almost like once you've got a taste for it, then you realize that actually you could just grow into this kind of energy so much more, and how much this will benefit you. Because the Ace of Pentacles is all about having something really tangible in your hands, so it could as well be An offer could even be that an actual material offer could be at the end of this. So through doing all this work, it could be that you're rewarded with a promotion or a new job offer. Or if it's a relationship, it feels like something practically tangible could come out of this. So your partner, through you kind of setting these boundaries and how much growth that comes from this and being honest, the rewards and benefits shifts your relationship forward, actually into being like a deeper connection, and things kind of level up and you go, there's a deeper emotional connection, there's a leveling up somehow on the commitment, because the Ace of Pentacles is it's something that's very real and very tangible. It isn't pie in the sky, airy fairy, it's like literally something that is manifested. So it does feel more like that, something like a real worldly sort of material thing, like say financial reward, job offer, moving in together, for example, some kind of up leveling that is a physical thing in the 3D material world. But you understand that it's through this connection of how your behaviour's changed, and then it feels a bit like the sky's the limit beyond that, and that it's just the start of this new way of being for you, and this shift in you of wanting to continue on this journey and develop and grow. So really interesting read, group number 1. I hope it resonated for you and answered some of your questions. If it did, please do give me a thumbs up, leave any comments in the section down below. It's always great to get feedback from you, and subscribe for all future readings. But wishing you all the best with this scenario, this situation, love and light. Hey group number 2, and welcome to your reading. So let's start off with the card that you were first initially drawn to, which is the Ten of Swords. And this is in the placement of the message, obviously from your future self, in the placement of what you need to spend more time on right now and where you're currently at. Now the Ten of Swords is about reaching a point. It's the closing out of a cycle. It tells me that some pain, hurt, disappointments has happened and led you up to this point where you find yourself at now. And it's really about reaching that limit of feeling like that you can't take any more of it and that you've had enough. And with this message as well comes the Ten of Swords. The positive aspect is that this is the end of a cycle. So it is that comes to the message that the worst is over. And it's really just about closing down those painful experiences and kind of leaning into those feelings, I feel like, of that it is over. You might feel like, I get this sense of that maybe you've been holding your breath, waiting for the next disappointment, the next heartache, the next knife in the back. And I feel like it's a reassuring message from your future self that it really is over, that time, that period of time, whatever's been causing you that much pain. If it was a painful relationship, a painful workplace, whatever your situation is that's brought you to this reading, and kind of what the difficulties that you've been through up to this point that have been so draining. And I feel like your future self is encouraging you to kind of release that breath and to finally kind of understand and begin to feel in your body that it is over, and it's okay to begin the process maybe of moving on, letting go, those kind of energies. The next card that we have, so this is the King of Pentacles, and this is in the placement of what you need to spend less time on. And this is very interesting because the King of Pentacles, it could be representing a person. So the King of Pentacles can often be an earth sign, so Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. But this person is very worldly wise, it can be very, in its positive element, it's abundant, they're kind of good with their finances, they've got everything together. Downside, they can be materialistic, controlling, etc, etc, that kind of energy. So that could resonate for some of you, that this is actually a person and your future self is saying that you need to spend less energy on this person. So maybe you're focusing and putting too much energy on another when you really need to reclaim some of that energy and that personal power if it's been given away. For others, it could be if you are really anxious about money, because with it being Pentacles, it can be about finances and maybe leaning into being like a workaholic. It's like the flip side of this, it's like working too hard, being too focused and fearful on money and success, to the point where it's like everything else is sacrificed, on the goal of getting rich, say, for example, or being successful at work, and that is inherently, it's not bad obviously to want to be successful, but when we are living in the future and it feels like very life and death, if we don't reach this goal by a certain point, I can't be happy until I've reached this goal. Again, so like any extreme, in the sense that it can speak about workaholism, this card, the kind of negative side of it is what I'm seeing, because it's like what you're needing to spend less time on. So you could be focusing too much on the material and money worries, or for some of you it could be that you're spending too much energy and time on this certain person who, King of Pentacles, so if those qualities resonate for you, you recognize them in someone who you're involved with, and it's about sort of coming back to yourself, maybe living more in the present and not putting that incredible pressure on yourself. There feels like a lot of pressure to prove something as well, I'm feeling and thinking, to someone, or like I say, to go back to that success, that there's a lot of value and self-worth caught up in this, and it's kind of dangerous to put all your self-worth on the success of either feeling approval from this person or getting success in this situation. Take what resonates with that. The third card, we have a major arcana, the Justice card, and this is what you need to remember. And this card, Justice, is about wrongs being righted. It's the card of karma. So this is interesting in the sense of just going back to this Ten of Swords of pain that you've been through and suffering. So if you have been wronged and maybe you're working incredibly hard in some way to right this wrong, and with this Justice card, what I'm seeing, because we see this bat under the moonlight, and there's an element of surrender, that it's not all on you to right this wrong, group number 2. So if you believe in a higher power or spirit, to ask, invite them in, let them in to help you with this, to trust the process of karma. And this could take some time, but it's about, we see scales here, about scales falling back into alignment and being balanced. So again, it's about not just taking it all on yourself, that this feeling of that it's all on you. There's an element of surrendering and allowing this process to happen naturally, allowing spirit, let's say higher power, whatever you believe in, surrendering it to them as well, allowing that process to happen and trusting in wrongs being righted through how nature will work to rebalance itself. So that's a really important, significant message for you, and can somehow maybe relieve this pressure that I'm feeling that you're putting yourself under. And the fourth card, we have another major arcana, the Wheel of Fortune, and this is what you need to let go of. Again, this element of surrender. The Wheel of Fortune's about timing. It's about this wheel will turn. So if things haven't been going as you planned, and it's this feeling of that you're having to make it change, turn this wheel yourself, like you're physically trying to push this wheel round and putting so much effort in. And it's more this feeling of trust. We see the owl, which represents wisdom, that it's about having that wisdom that the wheel, in time, the wheel will turn. Luck will change in your favour. Change is inevitable. Like we say, that's the one thing that you can bank on and trust, that change will happen. So it's like this energy will shift. Feel like you're in a bit of a pressure cooker at the moment, working incredibly hard to try and make this all happen, and there needs to be some element of surrender, and it'll happen probably quicker and easier the more that you can let go of it. So if you have those tense, anxious feelings that rise up within you of needing to make something happen, make this change, right this wrong, etc., turn the Wheel of Fortune in your favour. If you can surrender and let go and allow Spirit's part in this, you will actually get there quicker, get there easier. It's about trust and flow and not having to do all the heavy lifting yourself. It's more about inspired action, so that works smarter, not harder as well. And in the fifth card, we have the Queen of Swords, and this is in the placement of what you need to focus on. And the Queen of Swords, this says the Queen of Swords is smart. So again, working smarter, not harder. So she's switched on. She's very astute. She is quite reserved in her energy as well. She's a clear communicator. So these are all qualities that you can look to embody and bring to this situation, group number 2. So the Queen of Swords is very empowered in that way. She's committed to the truth above all else, which is why sometimes she gets a bad rap for being brutal or harsh. But it's actually, she's none of those things in the sense of it. There is no ill will or mean intent. It's just that her commitment to the truth, and the truth, believes that the truth will set you free, and that there is value, so much value in respecting those around you, respecting yourself, in communicating your truth. And funnily enough, this was in group number 1, a similar message in the sense of that the no is a complete sentence comes to mind again, which is what I spoke of in the previous reading, and that it's okay just to be like, this is what I need, this is how I feel, and not to be apologetic about it, just as the Queen of Swords is. It's taking that pain that you've been through with the 10 of Swords and using the sword as a weapon, really, as a defense to protect yourself and prevent it from repeating the cycle, from happening again. So just to remind that this is what you need to focus on. I feel like this is like the energy that you need to embody, group number 2, and take this approach. So about not feeling like you need to have to explain yourself or justify yourself in some way, but it's just about how this experiences of what you've been have changed you, and by communicating clearly and being honest, truthful, within reason, obviously, if you're in the workplace, etc., but being straightforward about what you need and what's going on. This will help you in this situation that you're in. In the sixth placement, another major arcana, Judgment. So this is the lesson that you will learn. And the Judgment card, we see here a snake, a beautiful snake, powerful, that has shed its skin. So this is a renewal for you, group number 2. Through this process, I feel like you've been through somewhat of a dark night of the storm. There's a reactionary element to this, in that this kind of bounce back of, I feel like, working incredibly hard to the point of exhaustion, emotionally, physically, whatever it might be, to kind of stop this from happening, and you've taken everything on yourself, and there's this need to let go and surrender, and give less energy, stop doing everything, just do the kind of what you need to do, and that's all that, you know, almost kind of do the minimal of what you need to do. With this Queen of Swords, it's about, you know, making one cut, one slice, what's necessary, not having to feverishly sort of work at trying to make something happen. And through this process, this transformation, that there's an opportunity to really transform here, group number 2, and take this forward with you in other life situations and lessons. It's about, like I say, there's an opportunity to shed a skin, to shed what no longer works for you. I feel like that there's outdated behaviours that no longer serve you, that maybe you're still hanging on to, which is old habits. It's residual and it's harming you ultimately. There could be people, places, things that you need to let go of, and or behaviours that no longer work for you that need to be let go of. That's what I'm seeing. And there's something about feeling this desire to, that you need to do everything yourself, this like sense of responsibility that runs too deep, and there needs to be more trust and surrender. And then this will give you, you know, you can retain some more energy, not exhaust yourself, like achieve more by doing less. And if you can move into that energy, then this judgment, this shedding of skin, and again, this card, Judgment, is also about karma, that it's about reaping rewards from, though sort of trusting the process of karma, in the sense that people who have wronged you, so to speak, like if they haven't behaved in a good way, Judgment talks about reaping those rewards, so reaping what you've sowed. And so I feel like you've done the right thing, and if you can approach this, be kinder to yourself essentially, then you'll reap the rewards of doing the right thing. And again, it's somehow trusting the process and giving some time and space, and taking a different approach to things maybe than you ever had before. We have the Emperor card next, and this is in your potential. And the Emperor is, it's amazing to see, like, this is the potential actually that you have, which is, the Emperor is all the things that we've talked about, in the sense of that the Emperor is very empowered. The Emperor has like leadership, boss energy, someone who people look up to. We see like the sword again here, the sword of clarity. They are very, like, they wouldn't mince their words. For example, the Emperor they are depicted as an owl in this deck, so it speaks about the wisdom that they hold through what they've been through. So there's a real opportunity here, group number 2, to kind of not repeat old habits and to evolve into a much more I really feel like it's about doing just what's required of you, but not taking on everyone's problems, not taking on everyone's responsibility. The Emperor is like I say, just speaks, communicates clearly, and doesn't have to that need to like explain themselves. This is what I'm doing, you know, this is who I am. And the incredible kind of success that can be gained of being that self-possessed. It's a confidence really of not having to prove yourself, and that self-worth being caught up in having to, you know, work so hard and do all the heavy lifting to prove your value. The Emperor knows their value, knows their self-worth. So that's what the potential is in this lesson and in this cycle that you're currently in, group number 2, that your future self wants to come back to tell you that it's like, I feel like, please take this opportunity to shift into this energy of this more empowered version of yourself who doesn't have anything to prove. They've done enough, they've done more than enough, sorry. And it's just a much more empowered, self-possessed place to be. You'll be in a better position than when you find yourself now. People won't, if you know, people might see you as someone that they can lean on in a bad way, in the sense take advantage of almost, and that they'll just keep going, keep taking and taking. Well, with the Emperor, they would not allow that. You would send the message that, you know, you are not the one really for that. You are not the one. And it's about also allowing a higher power, like we spoke about in spirit, to help you on this journey, and that some things are out of your control, and that's okay. And then we have your future self, which is the beautiful 4 of Wands. And I almost feel like these are all being quite heavy energies, these cards. Like it's felt like quite a deep lesson really that is being learnt here, group number 2 in your reading. And the 4 of Wands just feels sort of like a breath of fresh air here. It's a lighter energy. It's a card of, with it being wands as well. So there's been quite a few swords cards here. And the 4 of Wands is about, this is a card of celebration. We see someone else here with you as well. So this talks to me about being connected to someone. So your future self is, if there's a particular person that you have in mind, I see them with you. It could just be that you are connecting to other like-minded people as well for some of you, so take what resonates. But the 4 of Wands, it's a grounded energy as well, with it being 4, so you'll be in a more stable position than maybe what you feel now. And it's about, I mean, with it being wands, it's about feeling inspired. See these blossoms of, it's a kind of a very joyful energy. And I feel like it's almost like reaching a point of stability that you're not feeling now. And it's a reassuring card to say that you will get there. The 4 of Wands, it could, for some of you, it might even be like a living situation, that it can be, you know, a house, a home that is an actual home, a stable home, or a commitment with someone, a stability in a relationship, or in a job. But it feels like being able to take a breath, again, release a breath that we spoke about earlier actually, and be able to actually begin to enjoy things again. And it's about as well not getting caught up on, when I hit this goal, that's when I can celebrate. The 4 of Wands is about enjoying the journey as well. And just, I see your future self, through, after going through, like I say, there's quite heavy energies here. You will reach a new level of stability, and a lighter energy, and you can actually begin to enjoy things again. The final message, we have the 9, in the 9th card is the 8 of Pentacles. And the 8 of Pentacles is I feel like it brings the message that the work that you are doing, even though we've talked a lot about you working too hard in some ways in this reading, but it comes with this message, I feel like, from your future self and from Spirit, that the work that you are doing has been and continues to be is incredibly valuable, and that you are so if you're giving to a relationship, or if you're giving to a job, that it's really high quality work that you're producing, or it's a really high level of love and support, you know, that you give to others, and that's again about valuing that. I feel like this final message is about valuing that what you give, group number 2, is just that, really valuing it, instead of giving it away as if it's endless and as if it needs to be constantly bettering yourself, or give. And this card is about, no, it's really actually what you are giving is really high quality, is really high value, and it's about giving with intent, but treating it like the diamond, you know, that it is. Don't just throw that away, don't just give it away to anyone. Respect it yourself, and then others will respect it more, and the self-worth and in the value of this really sort of high quality love and work, and what you have to offer is something special, group number 2. And that feels like the most final and important message to end with, that it's about valuing what you have to offer and valuing what you have to give, and not just giving it away as if it's nothing, as if it's none of those things. So group number 2, I hope this reading did resonate with you. If it did, please give me a thumbs up, leave any comments in the section down below, and subscribe for all future readings. But wishing you all the best with this situation and on your journey, love and light. Hey group number 3, and welcome to your reading. So let's start off with the first card that you were initially drawn to, which brought you to this reading, which is the 3 of Swords. And this is in the placement of what you need to spend more time on. And the 3 of Swords is about healing from heartache. So the 3 of Swords tells me that you have been through something difficult in the past. There is a wound that is still there, that is still fresh, it feels like. It was a real knife in the heart, and I'm drawn to these chains and shackles. So it's like that you are still very much tied up in the throes of the pain that you've been through and what you've experienced, and tied down by that, really, and chained to that kind of energy. So even if you might not be aware of this, or you might be very aware of this, but there is still some healing to be worked on. So whatever that looks like to you, if that's talking to someone, loved ones, you know, people that can really understand, or if it's just about being kind to yourself and taking time out, just carving out some space and some time and energy, focusing some energy and having an awareness about that there is more healing that needs to take place. And not in order to not move forward too quickly. There can be a tendency, obviously, just to want to jump over that and just forget about it. But it feels like there is more, something needs to be released, the chains need to be broken in order to move forward. And what you need to spend less time on is this. We have this Ace of Wands in the the second position, and this is what you need to spend less time on. And I feel like it's that energy in a way that we just spoke of, about wanting to jump ahead and rush forward. With it being an ace, it's about new beginnings, new projects, new ideas. That's what wands is about. It's all about inspired action, kind of making things happen, making projects get off the ground. And I totally understand wanting to move on or distract yourself, and it's okay up to a point, but it feels like that your future self is maybe bringing the message that this could be happening too intensely and too much, because there needs to be more grieving done first. So say if this was a relationship, for example, it could be about maybe not jumping into another relationship too quickly, not jumping into, you know, dating quite yet, something like that, or whatever your scenario was. If it's a project that failed, that didn't work out this time, it feels like there needs to be a time of reflection and processing before really pushing ahead. So taking some time out so that you don't just rush into something else that won't be good for you, group number 3. And then the next placement, so this is what you need to remember, and this is the Tower card. And with the Tower, it's a major arcana, so it's important, all these messages are important obviously, but this is kind of has weight to it with it being a major arcana. And the Tower is, I believe, what has caused this heartache. The Tower can often be events that are very unexpected, uncertain, can be really shocking, and what the Tower, it's difficult when this is going on, but the Tower comes to shake things up and to shake down basically whatever is not meant for you anymore, in order to, it's like a big clean out, and it can be quite abrupt, like I say, it can be quite shocking. And can be difficult to see at the time. You might already have awareness of knowing that the situation that was causing you heartache was not good for you, or it could just be a painful loss and disappointment, and that you can't really see the value in what losing that thing was right now. But with the Tower is a reassuring message in a way, and a significant reminder to say that this happened for a reason, to clear out what is no longer best for you, what no longer serves you, and make space for something better, make space for something that is in alignment with you and what is good for you. That can, I know it can be really, you might not be in a place that you can hear that, but that is the message from your future self, that it's saying, bringing through that message. It can just be so difficult to see until we're further away from the pain. But yeah, so that's there anyway. The 4th card, so this is the 4 of Pentacles, and this is what you need to let go of. And the 4 of Pentacles is about holding on tightly to something. So again, holding on to maybe trying to make something happen from that needs to be released. Maybe trying to repeat old habits, and old patterns that you've outgrown, essentially. A situation, a person, a place, whatever, a behaviour, a habit that I feel like that you've outgrown. And it's that feeling of, with always the 4 of Pentacles, it's a mindset of lack, which we're always trying to move away from, and recommend that wherever you're at, that it's about trying to shift your energy field into a place of abundance. So even if you don't want to let this person or situation go right now, if you're not feeling that, what you can do is shift into a place of abundance. Like, don't fight for scraps. So you can still give it some time to breathe, give a situation time to breathe. Leave it alone for a bit. Even inaction can be the best action. These are the kind of messages that I'm getting, with it being like we see this crescent moon here, and it just feels like this. I'm bringing it, sort of reminds me of the moon cycle of like, even, you know, give it 30 days or whatever till you kind of go back to this before you take any action. So if you're constantly still trying to make something work but you're not getting the response back that you want and that you need, it can be often that you're coming from such a place of lack, and it's just not good to approach anything really with that kind of energy and that approach of trying to make something happen. So just give it some space, leave it be, and try and shift yourself before you go back to it, so you don't have to fully let go of it if that's not what you want to do, but you can just leave it be, and give it some time to breathe, give it some space, shift yourself into a place of a more abundant mindset before revisiting it, and try to go in with kind of a fresh pair of eyes, and just don't take action from that place of lack. And the fifth card, so we have the 10 of Wands, and this is what you need to focus on. And again, it's that the 10 of Wands is about, the 10 is the closing out of a cycle. So even if this isn't the end of the journey for you, the end of the road completely with this situation, what's caused you heartache, be it relationship, project, you know, situation, whatever it is, that something feels like it's ended. The 10 of Wands is about the end of a cycle. So even if it's not the final closeout of this situation completely, if it's a relationship that you'll revisit, this cycle needs to close out at least. This way of being something needs to change in order to move forward. The Tower has happened, so out with the old and in with the new. The 10 of Wands is about putting down the burden. 10 of Wands is feeling exhausted and kind of done with the situation. And see the salmon, the uphill battle that you've been through. This is closing out, and it's about an acceptance of that cycle to allow for a new way to be. And that's about, so focus on what does that look like to you, about closing out that struggle, sort of ending the struggle, that way of existing and that way of being. Again, that kind of mindset and feelings of lack, feeling so burnt out. I feel like that there is that feeling that I'm with you, group number 3, a sense of feeling burnt out, wounded, and needing to recuperate and stop struggling, stop fighting something, and at least allow your time to shift your mindset and do some kind of healing before going back out there and approaching, trying something else, trying something new, be that within an existing situation, trying a new approach at the least, or trying something new completely. And then we have the 6th card, this complete sort of different breakthrough of energy. We have like a 2 of Cups, which is this joyous union, connection, reunion card. And this is in the place of the lesson that you will learn. And this feels about what the lesson that you'll learn essentially is about healing. It's about maybe a loving relationship or a successful situation that is balanced with give and take on equal sides, which is maybe something that was missing. So that's the lesson that you will learn from it, is really what a loving connection is, what I'm hearing, what a loving connection feels like. So by moving out of this struggle and releasing old habits, you'll learn how to exist and live life in a different way, in a more joyful way, in a more supported way, in a way that isn't a struggle. And we see here the lion, which represents courage. So this will take courage, group number 3, to make this shift. This looks like wings to me, so it's a sort of like risk, expansion, a different point of view. But we see these elephants here elephants, obviously they always talk about the memory of an elephant, and it's about remembering what you've been through, taking that pain from the past and learning from that, essentially how that will inform your future behaviours, future decisions, your expectations from others, your expectations in relationships. And not just moving on from things without self-reflection and without healing, group number 3. It's about if you can actually process this and sit with it for a while and sit with it for a bit and process and take it in what you've been through. You'll be able to stop this cycle of repeating painful cycles, repeating struggles, repeating those patterns, those same relationships. So this is really significant. This is a really, really important lesson and has the potential to be life-changing. And the next card is actually in the position of your potential. And we have the King of Cups, which is a beautiful message. The King of Cups is emotionally balanced, is emotionally in touch with themselves, is healed as well. The King of Cups is very emotionally intelligent, can feel their feelings without being overwhelmed by them. So can be sad, can be angry, can be in love, be scared. We can, all the spectrum of emotions that we have as humans. And the King of Cups always speaks to me about someone who can feel things deeply and honestly and has integrity, but they aren't overwhelmed by their emotions. Their emotions, we always aim for them, our emotions, to pass through as like a river. So the sadness that we feel it, so we're not in denial. If something sad happens, then we feel the sadness, but then it can move through us so it doesn't get stuck and become a blockage, an emotional blockage, and then gets stuck and begins to cause us problems, really, and kind of takes place and then begins to cause us problems. But the King of Cups allows the emotions to flow through them and, like I say, feel their feelings without being overwhelmed. And I feel like that this is the potential, the opportunity for you, group number 3, to kind of reach this level of emotional maturity, emotional intelligence, through allowing to process this situation and not repeat the cycles that have been going on up until now. Your future self, we have another major arcana, the beautiful card, the Fool. And this is your new beginning as well. Your future self will be in a different place than where you are now, for sure. So this is you've moved on. And the Fool is someone who is starting out something completely new. And it can feel risky. We see this wolf here who is stepping on thin ice. So there's sort of some cracks in a way of like, if it's not without risk, but with this message is, without risk, there is no gain. So that feels important, and it feels like you're in a place again after processing group number 3, after ending this struggle, this sort of struggle way of life and these feelings of lack. once you've been able to take the time to heal and move from that, the Fool energy comes out renewed, comes out stronger, brave as well, hearing and feeling, and the Fool is the person who is ready to take risks again. But I feel like that you'll be in the right place and the right mindset to do that, and to actually do something new and do something different. So with this Ace of Wands, which was about advising your future self, advising you kind of not to do, it felt like to not rush the process and just try and start something new that would turn out to be the same. And then with the Fool, it's like the Fool is ready to do something different and ready to take a risk. And that's your future self in that energy doing that. So that's really positive to see. And then the final message, we have the Eight of Wands. And this is a shift of energy. The Eight of Wands is news coming in fast, things happening quickly. And I feel like that this is, if you are someone maybe who, partly why you're stuck in repeating cycles is because there's an impatience in your group number 3 about, and a fear really of feeling the feelings and just wanting to move on, but sort of this sense of impatience and rushing forward, and have a difficulty sitting and being with the feelings. And I feel like this is almost like a kindly reminder, a gesture to that impatient energy within your group number 3, that it says if you can get to this, stop this cycle, start something new and move into this Fool energy when the timing is right, that off the back of that, you'll get that speed back, which you like to move fast, I feel like, and you like to move quickly, and that's not all bad, that's not all negative. And with this Eight of Wands, I feel like we see a snake even here, which speaks to me about transformation again, about shedding old skins, and it's like this new self that you have the opportunity to be, this new way of being. But it's also a nod, I feel like, this Eight of Wands, to that side of you that likes to move fast and likes to make things happen. And it's almost like you can still use that energy. It's really powerful. You might be a fire sign or have lots of fire in your chart. Fire energy likes to take action, make things happen. But this feels like it is used for the power of good, for you, taking you onto a better situation, and not just moving quickly into a situation where you're repeating the cycle. But this is actually genuine forward movement, but this work needs to be done first. And this shift into this Two of Cups, King of Cups energy needs to happen first before this Fool and Eight of Wands energy can move in. So group number 3, I hope this reading resonated with you. It was really interesting. I hope it was for you too. Please give me a thumbs up if it was. Leave any comments in the section down below. And subscribe for all future readings. But wishing you all the best on your journey. Love and light.